Hey, this is Catholic Ben. So, when the Bible talks about God's work in people's lives, it talks about the streams of living water. It talks about the river that's overflowing. Obviously, because, in Israel, water is something you'd always dream about and never have enough of. It's a dry and dusty and deserty land. Here in my country, luckily, thank God, we're one of the countries that's rich with waters. And there can be, a river can overflow like this one is overflowing right now, almost. And it's not a good thing. There can be too much of a good thing, You cannot live without water, but when there's too much of it, things get bad. This village behind me, Kostanjevica, has been underwater quite a few times before. And the villagers don't really appreciate when there's, the water is rising up. It's the same with our spiritual lives. There can be too much of it. You can overreact. You can outdo it. When you're just dealing with the spiritual nonstop, and you're even sometimes neglecting your daily responsibilities. When you're a wife that is going to church way too often and neglecting her husband, or vice versa, a husband going to church, which is a bit more rare. I'll admit that, but it can happen, and neglecting your wife and your children and your responsibilities, that's a bad thing. So, yeah, I know I'm calling you to spend enough time with God, but this time we're going to the other side of the spectrum and telling the other people that are spending time with God and that are maybe spending too much time with God and depending too much only on God, not on their own works and things that they have to do, to, slow it down a bit. Just, be normal. Don't be overly zealous and overly religious, because God is with us in every normal aspect of our lives. He doesn't want us to be hyper spiritual. He just wants us to live a normal life, where we reverence Him, where we, acknowledge His role in our lives, but, don't allow that to become our idol again. So this weekend I have a different sort of a task for you, especially the guys. Find a friend who's not a believer, who's not a Christian, and go grab a good beer with him, okay? Unless you obviously have problems with alcohol, that's a different issue. But if you don't, just grab a good glass of beer with them and hang out and enjoy this time. And also, yeah, pray before and after, and thank God for the time, but don't overreact with the God stuff. We'll see you next